Good morning, everybody. It's day 23, and as I said, I'm not doing any walking on the Camino officially. I may cross paths with it, but I'm not doing any miles on the Camino today. I am heading to the cathedral in Lyon, planning on doing a tour of that, and I'll share some of that with you. It's after 10:30. I slept in this morning. I slept in till 8 o'clock, which is unusual. Especially being on the trail. I think that's the latest I've slept, other than maybe the day I first got here when I had jet lag. Walking through the town now, heading to the cathedral. Even though I woke up at 8, I just kind of laid there as a sloth, maybe part of the sloth hiking team, and finally got up and got something to drink and said, let's get started for today. So here I am heading through the city of Lyon to the Cathedral of Lyon. I'll show you details when I get there. Well, there's the Cathedral of Lyon. That's where I'm heading. So I know they have openings. Just gotta get there and get a ticket. The Cathedral of Lyon, which you can see behind me, was built in the 13th century. It took 50 years to build, and it's in the Gothic style. So we will be walking through the cathedral. I just wanted to share some information about it, and we'll continue on. lunch. It pans in two, a bagel with chicken and fries and a drink. So after this, I'm going to go find what else I can do here in Leon. So the next adventure we're going to do is we're going to take the train, which takes you on a tour of the city. So I'm going to hop aboard a train and see where it goes. We're taking a ride on the train, so I will try to show you some of the stuff that's loaded go along.
Century, when the county council, which had bought it, established there its residency. Vamos a iniciar el recorrido. La calle que vamos a cruzar ya existía en época romana, uno de los mejores ejemplos de la arquitectura de estilo gótico español. Es conocida con el sobrenombre de Pulcra Leonina por la elegancia y pureza de sus líneas. Fue construida en el siglo XIII siguiendo el modelo de las catedrales francesas. En la puerta principal, la Virgen Blanca nos da la bienvenida al templo, pero lo más espectacular, sin lugar a dudas, es la purity of its lines. It was built in the 13th century, following the examples of the French cathedrals. At the front door, the White Virgin invites us to go into the temple, but without a doubt, the most spectacular things are its stained glass windows, one of the best collections in Europe. The oldest ones date from the 13th century, and it was completed with the stained glasses in the later centuries. We recommend you to visit the cathedral. You can see Don Pelayo, promoter of the Reconquest. A la izquierda podéis ver el centro de interpretación de León romano, cuya visita os recomendamos. On the left, you can see the interpretation center of the Roman León, a place we strongly recommend you to visit. En el segundo piso de este edificio conoceréis por qué León es la cuna del parlamentarismo. En el año 1188, el rey Alfonso IX convoca una hacia el final de la ceremonia. Es más importante de nuestra historia, Alonso Pérez de Guzmán el Bueno, del que hablaremos más tarde. La calle que estamos recorriendo es la calle del Cid, llamada así porque en ella residió durante algún tiempo el héroe castellano Rodrigo Díaz de Vivar. Denominaciones de origen que León posee dentro de su gastronomía, siendo dos de ellas de vinos, Tierra de León y Bierzo. In this neighborhood, we can also enjoy of more than 16 typical dishes from León, among which we find two wines, Tierra de León and Bierzo. Recorriendo la avenida de Ramón y Cajal, en un momento llegaremos a la plaza de Santo Domingo, muy cerca del punto en el que hemos... La plaza de Santo Domingo es para... The Santo Domingo Square of León is considered the city center and some of the most important streets right from here. In this square, you find the Museum of León, the tower of the Church of San Marcelo and the old casino, which is a building made of red bricks that dominates the square. Casa principal de la Orden de Caballeros de Santiago. Este edificio, en el que destaca la monumental fachada plateresca, se levantó en el siglo XVI por orden de Fernando el Católico. En aquel momento queda poco para llegar al final del recorrido, así que aprovechamos estos momentos para animaros a conocer otros lugares y espacios a los que no podemos llevaros con este tren. Gracias a todos por vuestra atención y os deseamos una feliz estancia en León. We are nearly at the end of...
I did find out more about this building. It's an old building, how's that? But it is now the Spanish Art Museum. So it's a place where you can go in and see Spanish art. It was designed by a famous architect, but I had never heard of him. So anyway, this is the building we saw yesterday, and I didn't know anything about it, but it does house the Spanish Art Museum. Hey guys, it's almost 2 o'clock. I'm back to the hostel. I went grocery shopping at the market, bought lasagna, a nectarine, and a drink. and brought that back for dinner tonight. I also had lunch while I was out. I think I took a brief video of that. I'll post that as well. I did the cathedral, which that was pretty cool. I also did the train. So I'm glad you guys could join me here on my off day. It's only 2 o'clock. I may go back out, but I highly doubt it. This is going to be a rest day for me, for my legs to recover. And so I may just chill out here at the hostel and enjoy the afternoon, laying on my bunk, maybe watching the inside of my eyelids. So this is going to be the end of the video for today. I will be back on the trail tomorrow. I think I have a 12-mile day tomorrow. I don't think it's that long. I'm also going to be walking through Leon. I don't know whether I'll leave early. I may wait until it gets light out to leave. Not going to see a sunrise. And there's some beautiful buildings that we passed on the way that I think we'll go through as we're walking, and I can get some more video of those. So the train ride, it was okay. It was a little bit disappointing. Yeah, we rode through some stuff. They gave us a nice narrative. Unfortunately, if you were on the wrong side of the train, you didn't see anything. Or if you were on the right side of the train, you got to see it and everybody else didn't. So I did get some pictures. It was pretty cool. Some of those walls are from the 9th century when this was controlled by the Romans. And a lot of these buildings are built in the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries. So they're very cool buildings. Nice place to visit. So thank you for joining me, and I'm going to sign off. One last thing. Last night I developed a nasty cough. I'm sure my bunkmates were happy with me. I'm hoping that once I got to sleep, I wasn't doing any coughing. I ended up having to go to the pharmacy and find a decongestant, and I've started taking that. So hopefully that's going to help. I'm a little congested and a little bit of a cough. When I was up and about, it didn't seem to be too bad. But when I laid down last night, I coughed a lot. Hopefully once I got to sleep, that stopped and I didn't disturb my bunkmates. Nobody yelled at me this morning, so I guess I'm okay. Thanks for joining me, and I'm signing off. YOLO, we'll talk to you tomorrow.